Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Collar X Malice along Mineo Enomoto's route. And we're going to go and visit his former master, or so he called him. He probably called him Oyakata-sama, since he's so obsessed with the Sengoku period. Well anyway, let's go ahead and barge right in. Let's blow past this nervousness. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. But now that I was here, I was nervous. Sakuragawa told me he wouldn't treat me badly, but I'm about to go and meet a veteran detective. They're very busy in field ops, so I'm stunned that he managed to make time for me. I timidly hovered by the door, but my lunch break was winding down. Okay, let's do this. I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. Excuse me. Okay, everybody just stare at me. Apparently they're none too friendly. As soon as I entered, several men who looked like field ops detectives sharply turned their attention toward me. Slightly intimidated by all their gazes, I stumbled over my words. I'm Ichika Hoshino from the Special Regions Crime Prevent Office, local office. Is Mr. Kenzo Satake currently present at this time? I raised my voice more than I usually did, probably because I was nervous. The room fell silent, but the next moment...
SRCPO's got some spunk.
The men erupted into bright laughter, and their laughs echoed throughout the room.
Look how assertive she is. She's definitely cut out for her team. You're right. Maybe I'll put in a word with HR to hand this one over to us. Nice. It's downright dirty in here. If we had a girl like you around, it would put some pep in our step.
It sounds like they want to make me their mascot.
The ugliest guy in Shinjuku Precinct is going to try and give other people crap? Nah, my face is no match for that old man stank you got going on.
I awkwardly stood there, and then a voice suddenly called out from the back.
Hey, young lady, come over here.
I hurried over to the owner of the voice, who pulled me from the ocean of awkwardness. An older, wiry man was waiting for me. Could this be... Kenzo Satake, Shinjuku Station Field Ops Team 2, 53 years old, by the way.
I'm Kenzo Satake. Sakuragawa told me about you.
His gentle smile immediately smoothed away all my anxiety. I'm Ichika Hoshino from the Special Regions Crime Prevention Office, local office. I'm terribly sorry for taking up your time during such a busy day.
Oh, I was just surprised. I imagined that any acquaintance of Sakuragawa would be more manly. But instead, you're a polite, well-mannered young lady. Well, Sakuragawa's got that personality, you know. I was worried she didn't have any girlfriends.
Well, can you really call us friends yet?
Oh, don't speak a word about any of this to her, if you don't mind. She'd just give me an earful again. Too late for that, Satake. Right. You're Papa Shinjuku, or was it Grandpa Shinjuku now? Hey, don't call me old. I'm still a fighting fit detective. Wow, that phrase is so old it's retired. Shut it, kid. It's too loud in here. Young lady, why don't you follow me upstairs?
To the roof again? Oh, alright.
Satake is getting some alone time with one of the young ladies in the office. I'm so jealous. Listen, you, this is for work. Don't you slack off while I'm gone. Yes, sir. I don't need to be on your bad side. Take your time. Sorry that you had to endure all that back there, young lady.
Not at all. This is different than what I imagined. Satake and the other detectives were approachable despite their intimidating air. Their cheerfulness bore a close resemblance to Enomoto's style. I guess he fit in well when he was here then. I followed Satake up to the roof, where I was immediately assaulted by the winter chill. Why does everybody like to go to the roof when it's so cold?
Sorry, young lady. It's a bit chilly here, so just bear with it.
Please don't mind me. But, the way you keep addressing me... You must be calling her Ojo-san.
Does it bother you? From my point of view, you youngsters are all little boys and girls.
When Satake said that with an ear-to-ear grin, I couldn't help but smile back. It's a little embarrassing to be called that at my age, but I know that you're just saying it to be friendly, so I don't mind.
Good then, alright. Do you mind if I light up out here?
Not at all. Satake took a cigarette out of his pocket and put it to his lips.
I always need this to relax. This place is better for relaxing than the smoking area.
While watching Satake take a puff of his cigarette, I considered how to approach the topic. This is my first time talking to someone in the police while hiding my X-Day investigation. This'll be our first trial.
You've forgotten something critical. There's another person here. It's fine to ask questions in the police station, but when someone asks you for your opinion, pay close attention to how you answer. You might get killed, you know.
I have to be diplomatic. Don't take sides, be evasive. Neither confirm nor deny. As Shiraishi's pointed advice said, a small slip of the tongue could endanger my life. How could I ask and make it sound natural? The more I pondered it, the drier my throat felt.
What's the matter? Feeling nervous, young lady?
I was worried that my silence was suspicious, but Satake was giving me a toothy grin.
Well, I actually haven't talked to a girl like you in a long time. It's all men in our office, you know. I spent so much time with those lugs that I wasn't sure if I scared you.
Not at all, sir. On the contrary, I'm glad you're easy to talk to.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that. Sakuragawa and the boys always call me a grumpy old man.
How can that be? Unless you're just being like this with me because I'm a girl.
I haven't heard praise like that in a while. It's a nice feeling. Anyway, much as I'd like to chit-chat with you all day, why don't we get to business?
I straightened my back as Satake turned to me.
You're here as an SRCPO officer to pick my brain about the X-Day incident that happened in April and May, right?
Yes. Why does he look so happy about that?
Something struck me when Sakuragawa brought it up. Could it be possible that this actually has nothing to do with SRCPO?
Well, it has something to do with me, and I'm an SRCPO, so kind of indirectly it does still. I was startled that he hit the bullseye immediately, but I couldn't just give that away. He has detective skills.
Your face tells me I'm right.
Oh,
You can't hide it from me, young lady. I've got too much experience not to notice.
His voice was quiet, but his words bore a lot of gravity. Before that, I'm going to save because I can go after a bad ending here and then, reload. Why am I getting a bad ending here? Is he gonna kill me? Alright, let's see. So, that's not true. That's not true. I promptly objected, not wanting to broach this topic any further. I'm only here for reasons that fall under my duties as an SRCPO officer. I'm not directly involved with the X-Day crimes, but they're fueling public unrest. So, I wanted to ask you about them. Satake quietly listened to me, and then he finally let out a slow sigh.
You're lying.
What makes you say that?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I don't think all of that was a lie. But, you made up that story to tell me, right? I could see it in your eyes.
I opened my mouth to protest, but I was at a loss for words. He had seen through it all.
Young lady, I could tell that you weren't a practiced liar.
Oh, I should practice my lying more often.
Yet, you've come to me asking about X-Day, going as far as to lying to me to get my information. I can see you have your reasons. Now, I won't rat you out. Just tell me what happened.
After being seen through so easily, my shoulders drooped. Maybe there's no point in lying any further. Maybe it was better to give in and explain my circumstances to him. Or was it better to keep it hidden? Well, I couldn't tell him everything, because if I told him about the collar, then I'd die. But I'm still dying anyway, because, like I said, we're going for the dead end. So I had to say it's my SRCPO mission. I'm really curious as to what's causing death here. If he suspected me of investigating the cases on my own, he might discover my collar. If I take a risk and the person behind the collar decides I miscalculated, I could... With that in mind, I couldn't let my inner thoughts slip. It's really just for my SRCPO duties. Satake studied me for a moment, and then he looked away.
Sorry, but I can't trust you.
Eh?
I can see that this is going nowhere. I'm going back.
The detective put out his cigarette and then turned to leave. But please, wait! I need to know...
If you want people to be truthful with you, you need to be honest with yourself. I don't know exactly what you're trying to pull here, but you don't seem like you have any conviction. I won't judge you, but you should just let it go.
But it's my life!
Bye.
Satake said his farewells and then exited the rooftop. I don't have the conviction to save my own life. What am I doing? I can't believe I wasted the opportunity because I was too cautious. If I built a wall between the people I wanted to work with, they naturally wouldn't trust me. If only I'd been more flexible. I knew that regretting it now wouldn't change a thing, but I couldn't help but feel frustrated. December 10th. The next day, I visited forensics to tell Sakuragawa what had happened. You went through all that trouble to introduce us. But I ruined it. I'm sorry. I see. Well, Satake is a pretty sharp old man. You probably didn't hide your story very well. I know it's too late to point that out, though. I was looking forward to his help. It's too bad. Well, Satake isn't the only one in field ops. We just gotta find someone who's willing to share intel. I still have other connections. Look, don't beat yourself up about it. You're right. I'll just have to learn from my mistakes. That's the spirit. Good luck. Thank you. December 20th, 7:30. I didn't learn anything today either. I tried talking to other people besides Satake, but it didn't go very well. Did I not learn my lesson? From that day forward, I was never sure whether I should be careful or bold. I was paralyzed by indecision. Man, just one social mistake made it so I couldn't talk to anybody, and I'm losing my life because of that. A small misstep could cost me my life. That thought prevented me from taking initiative. Well, you're going to lose your life if you don't learn anything before X Day. But X Day attacks kept occurring, which stopped me from focusing on my investigation. There are only 11 days left until X Day, but I've made no progress. My impatience disturbed me, and lately I was failing at my job too.
Hoshino, take the rest of the day off.
No, but...
You're polite as ever on the phone, but you're making a lot of mistakes. Your mind is elsewhere. What's the point of staying here in that state? Just go home and come back when you're composed.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. Everyone has bad days.
He clapped me on the back, and I nodded. I have the feeling I've been having a lot of bad days lately, though. I couldn't let my own personal problems affect my performance at SRCPO. I'll be going then. Excuse me. I got ready, and then I left the station. At first, I thought I'd go home, but I just couldn't stop myself from thinking about the X-Day crimes. I wonder how Enomoto's doing. We were partners only in name, but I didn't stay in touch with Enomoto, and we worked separately. Why did we lose touch? Just because we didn't talk to that one guy, that's no reason to not go back and talk to him any. If he hadn't contacted me, then he must not be making any progress either. Why has Sasazaka not been calling me to the office? If X-Day arrived while I still hadn't gotten anywhere, I firmly shook my head to try and rid my mind of that unpleasant thought.
What are you doing?
Enomoto?
What a coincidence. We met like this before, too.
That's true. It had only been days, but it felt like quite a long time ago. That time, he ran as soon as he saw my face.
On the way home from work? You look dead on your feet.
But now, Enomoto showed no indication of trying to avoid me. Progress. Maybe he had finally grown to accept me a bit more, but I just couldn't feel excited about it. The calm look he was giving me right now wasn't anything I could get a read on. Indifference. That was the first word that came to mind. He didn't feel anything at all towards me. He just treated me like anyone else he ran into on the street. That's actually good, though. Well, that's better than running from me. Exactly! Back then, I tripped while chasing him. I could have bought that up.
Pushing people off rooftops, bombing government buildings. Adonis is just running rampant.
Yeah. He sounded like it didn't concern him. But that was true for me as well. Maybe he'd already given up. Maybe he'd realized how powerless he was. And maybe I look the same way right now.
Don't push yourself too hard.
Huh? Enomoto gave me a lonely smile and then walked off. I turned to watch him, but I didn't really feel like pursuing him. Where did we go wrong? Maybe things would be different if I had faced him more seriously. Or maybe compromising with him would have just proved to be another pointless waste of my limited time. All I have are regrets. It's only been a couple days. You could go talk to him now. Oh, jeez. No matter what I did, there was no way I could get back the time that had already passed. No, so make use of the time you do have. Now, the countdown ticks steadily towards death. I'm so tired. Why did it have to be me? If only it wasn't me. I suddenly realized that I was babbling. I can't lose hope. There's still time. Even as I tried to cheer myself up, I could feel my passion to solve the cases waning. I felt like my heart was drowning in sadness. And December 21st still. I couldn't shake off the foreboding sense of nihilism, even at work.
Hoshino, that old lady called again. Some high schoolers pulled some guns at the park. Apparently, it's getting more heated than usual. A call went out to the nearby police box, but we're going too.
Yes, sir. And this is where I'm going to die, right? Along with Mochida, I headed over to the park in the report. I could hear voices yelling nearby. Hey, you darn kids, put those guns down.
Don't you mess with me, I got a gun.
You've never even fired it before. Go ahead, shoot. You're all talk. One student had a gun, while the other was glaring at him, a metal bat in hand. They didn't seem to have noticed us yet. I looked around, but it didn't seem like the cops from the police box had arrived yet.
It looks like this could potentially be a fiasco. Hoshino, you...
I'd already drawn and raised my sidearm before Mochida finished.
Hey, Hoshino!
I'll aim for the hand holding the gun. Please restrain him once he's disarmed. I'm really confident here, huh?
What are you saying? You don't have clearance to fire in this scenario. First...
This isn't the time to hesitate. We don't have the time to begin with. That's right. I don't have time to waste here. X Day is in only 10 days. Time is of the essence. I have to hurry. A warning shot will only provoke the gunmen. It would be the same as telling them we're here. We should prioritize neutralizing the weapon. He disagrees. If we waste time, there could be fatalities.
Alright, but be careful, you hear me?
Yes. I had to wrap this up and get back to investigating X Day. I focused and took aim. Then... I shot the gun out of the boy's hand as intended. Seeing that, Mochida rushed in. I followed after him. But then things went horribly wrong somehow.
Police, take it easy. Damn it!
The boy with the bat stepped back once he saw Mochida's handcuffs. Drop your weapon. I pointed my gun at him and beckoned him to do so. Shut up! You think you're so badass! The frenzied boy raised his bat, and I immediately tried to evade.
Hoshino!
Huh? Why didn't I shoot? But I wasn't quick enough, and I fell hard. Huh! I did it! I got her! I really did it!
Damn you! Hold on, Hoshino!
I tried to stand, but my body felt weak. Maybe I'm going to die. Once I realized that, the first emotion I felt wasn't fear, but relief. Now I can rest. And not worry about X Day anymore. My mutters were drowned out by the sound of Mochida struggling with the assailants. So, I don't think anyone heard me. But I'd forgotten that there was one more person listening.
It appears that you became cowardly, paralyzed by your fear of death. Ironically, your impertinence spurred by your fear is what cost you your own life. Such weakness and indecision has no place in our fight against the malice ravaging this world. It cannot save anybody. Truly a pity.
How much time had passed? I realized I couldn't hear anything around me. It was simply quiet. Oh, that's a bad sign. In my hazy consciousness, I could hear the sound of approaching footsteps. Oh. As I hovered on the verge of death, someone's finger touched my neck. Then I felt the fetters binding me, the collar finally release. That was all I knew. But I had finally been liberated from both death and life. Now I was truly free. Yeah, I guess they intended to use that collar on someone else then. The end. Or they didn't want to leave it behind as evidence. Could be either one. I like that it's easy to get these bad endings without having to backtrack too much. So instead of that's not true, we're going to do ... No lying here. No matter how careful I was, he'd see through any deception I could throw together. He was a detective with a wealth of experience. A sloppy lie wouldn't work on him. If I lose his trust now, I would lose my chance to learn anything about the X-Day crimes. Satake didn't press me for more. In fact, he seemed to be observing me. I have to hide the collar and come up with a valid reason. Making up my mind, I answered. As you stated, the reason I'm here to see you today has nothing to do with SRCPO. It's for a different reason. What I call a greater reason.
Oh, a greater reason, eh? Doesn't look like you're lying this time.
Satake examined me with sharp eyes. Of course he'd be wary after I lied to him once already. I braced myself for this do-or-die moment and carefully picked my words. I'm actually working with a certain group of individuals to investigate the X-Day crimes.
A group?
It already looks like he's smirking. I mean, it's probably my imagination, but to me it feels like he's smirking a little because he's like, group? Investigating X-Day crimes? There can only be one group she's talking about. Yes, they operate outside the police force and are investigating X-Day independently. Sakuragawa is acquainted with them. When I told her that I wanted to research the crimes, she introduced me to you.
Investigating these crimes isn't part of your SRCPO duty, is it?
No, but as long as they remain unsolved, the lives of Shinjuku citizens are under constant threat. I know that these cases can't be solved just by efforts alone. But who's committing these acts? And why are they doing so? I want to know the truth behind it all.
I see.
Some of what I said wasn't exactly truthful, but the X-Day crimes were a personal issue to me. Maybe that's why Satake had believed me. If I assume that he's heard enough from Sakuragawa to know my story matches. The people who introduced me to her are a certain detective agency.
Wait, are you talking about the place that Enomoto is at now?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I see. So Enomoto is mixed up in this. It makes sense that you come and seek out an old-timer like me.
Satake rubbed his jaw, and then nodded at me approvingly. It makes a lot of sense that he'd know where Enomoto ran off to after he quit the police force. But Satake had visibly reacted when I said the phrase, detective agency. That seemed to strongly indicate that Satake was concerned about Enomoto.
Hey, young lady. Is Enomoto still on the trail?
Huh? I was confused at the sadness in his expression as he asked me the question. He's asking if Enomoto's still investigating. I've just started working with him recently, so I don't really know. But he didn't seem very enthusiastic about the investigation. Since I'm also researching the April and May cases, we're currently partners.
I see.
But his lack of enthusiasm might be because he hasn't accepted me yet. I'm fundamentally lacking in experience, and I don't know if I can help much in a fight. It was depressing to say it, but it was definitely the truth. I'm doing my best so that he'll acknowledge me, but it doesn't seem to be going very well. I smiled bitterly as I stated my feelings. Satake raised an eyebrow.
That isn't your fault, young lady.
It's not? Satake put out a cigarette in a portable ashtray and looked at me. Oh, do I get to hear the story?
If the reason for your curiosity was something half-hearted, I was going to turn you down. But if he's involved, it's a different story. I'll tell you about April and May, and about Enomoto.
Hooray! I'm more interested in Enomoto. Satake's face was serious. I nodded. Please do. Oh, it looks so cool.
I'm back? Huh? Where's Takeru?
Darn it, why are we cutting to a side? I want to hear the story. Why are they taking me away from that?
He's not here yet. What's that, Enomoto? Oh, this. It's a special regional flavor of instant ramen. I saw that they're selling it in supermarkets nationwide, so I bought some. The packaging makes it seem super tasty. I see. I'm always relying on you to cook, so I'll make this today. Alright, prepare to taste the gourmet ramen of the great Mineo Enomoto, who shames seasoned chefs. Enomoto. Yeah? How's your investigation going? So-so? If you've got nothing to hide, then look at me when you talk. It's not like I'm trying to hide anything. Look, I have to keep an eye on Hoshino all the time, so I'm busy.
You haven't even been hanging around me. How am I taking up any of your time? Besides, what are you doing when I'm at work?
Is that really why? Sorry, it's just an excuse. You know that you can't afford to be wasting time now. Our time is very limited. If you were working on a time-consuming case, that would be fine, but you and I know that isn't true. Yeah. I can't rid you of your fears, but I don't want you to regret your choice. Yanagi. Sasazaka is concerned too. If you need anything, don't hesitate to ask us. Thank you. I forgot to buy something. I'll be right back.
Aww. Yanagi's so sweet. Alright, are we going to get back to the story, please, please? After I patiently waited for a little bit, Satake managed to secure an empty interview room for us, so there's no chance anybody can overhear this.
Have a seat.
Yes, excuse me.
Boy, it's a small world. Never thought I'd be talking about him like this. Enomoto is an interesting kid. Flamboyant in both appearance and behavior.
Oh, I've noticed. He told me that his eye patch is a sign of respect for Date Masamune.
Yeah, that. I don't know what was going on in his head, but going out like that while he was a cop. But I laughed to see him take it that far.
I did too, actually. But then he got pouty.
He still hasn't changed. He was one of Field Op's lovable goofballs. He kicks up a fuss if you leave him alone, and he worries a ton about the strangest things.
He doesn't like to be left alone, really? I guess he likes the guys to hang around him. So he's like a big kid. Once his mind is set on something, he just can't leave it be.
That's right. He's the very archetype of a guy who acts before he thinks.
Satake's eyes seemed very kind as he spoke about Enomoto, like those of a father boasting about his son. Maybe while Enomoto was in field ops, they were close enough to feel like family. I recalled the bright and cozy atmosphere when I visited field ops.
From my perspective, he's a good cop. He's more passionate about justice than anyone, and he can never let the smallest wrong slip by. And he does his job with pride. That proved to be his undoing.
We were both investigating the X-Day cases from April and May, but I had never seen Enomoto put any serious effort into it. It had been bothering me, but I didn't know if I should mention it. What happened to Enomoto? I yearned to find out. Maybe I could help. But we were only temporary partners.
Earlier, you said he wasn't enthusiastic, right? That attitude didn't start after he quit the police.
It didn't? You make it sound like it happened while he was in the police? But it clashed with what I heard about Enomoto while he was an officer.
If you think about his feelings, you probably wouldn't understand why.
Huh?
Enomoto's afraid of digging into these cases. Nothing to say, huh? What are you even doing here? You quit field ops to pursue X-Day, right? Then man up and start doing it. Ugh.
When that happened, he looked as if he was weighed down by some burden. Enomoto seems like someone who would have pursued the truth once. Is there some tragic event in his past that changed him somehow, so he's unable to do so anymore?
Yeah, Enomoto looked up to someone who, in his eyes, was the embodiment of justice. His name was Yuta Fuji.
Yuta Fuji? I gulped when I heard the familiar name. The only confirmed death in the May killings that were broadcast?
Yeah, Fuji was a bright fellow. He looked after his juniors and was a good cop. Enomoto idolized him. They looked like brothers when they were together. Mineo! Oh, good morning, sir! You caught another burglar. Not bad, man. As expected of our rising star. Haha, you don't mean that, sir. All that flattery will get to my head. No, seriously. It's impressive how often you sniff these guys out. You've got good instincts, Mineo. Not at all. I just stumbled upon him out on patrol. Did you forget what I told you? Those coincidences are important. Right. They might seem like mere coincidences to you, but they have real impacts on people's lives. Yes, sir. You always say that. I won't forget it. Oh, good. Huh. At this rate, you'll rack up so many recommendations that you'll outrank me. Outrank you, Detective Fuji? There's no way. I don't know about that. I think it's only a matter of time until you leave the nest. It makes me feel just a tiny bit lonely. What? Only a little bit? Be a little sadder, man. I mean, I've always been chasing after your back. I only managed to catch that thief today, thanks to you, sir. Huh? Why? Weren't you the one who told me to keep my head on a swivel and never overlook the slightest detail? I found those coincidences because of you, so these feats don't belong to me alone. So, what do you want me to treat you to today? Steak! Oh, I'm not asking you to buy it for me, though. This victory belongs partially to me, too. So, why don't you pay?
That's a way to turn it around.
Alright, steak dinner tonight. No way, sir!
He was killed by Adonis. And it definitely wasn't an indiscriminate murder. He had been declared as one of the 4 criminal police officers and judged accordingly. Enomoto looked up to Fuji because he believed in his righteousness. But from the public's point of view, Fuji certainly looked like a bad man. I couldn't imagine how shocked Enomoto felt. He had lost the man who was his moral compass. And there we're going to stop the video and continue this conversation in the next one. Although, I'm sure they'll explain it. I hope they'll explain it. But that being the case, shouldn't they have had Enomoto do one of the other months, not one that he was emotionally tied to? Because it is a conflict of interests? On TV, they're always letting people work on things that are personal to them, but in real life, they don't allow authorities to work on cases that are personal to them because it is a conflict of interest. Alright, well anyway, hope to see you in that next video. Can't wait to see what else we can learn about Mineo. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye bye everybody.